Hi there, this is Tony from pianotone.ca. So have you ever recorded your playing on a Yamaha DGX-670 using the built-in 16-track MIDI recorder, and then looked at the sheet music and wondered why all of your notes are either just in the treble clef or just in the bass clef? This identical issue actually also exists when recording your play and looking at the sheet music in the Yamaha Smart Pianist app on a compatible piano like the P125 or P225, etc. Well, I don't have a perfect solution for this, but I do have a workaround that will help significantly. And FYI, this same workaround will work with both the DGX as well as any Yamaha piano you have connected to Smart Pianist. And in the process of making this video, I actually also came across something else on the DGX-670 that I've never noticed before that I wanted to mention as well. Okay, let's check all this out. Okay, so my DGX is set to all of its default values. I'm going to press record. That brings up the 16-track MIDI record screen with the default tracks armed. Those are the ones that are red. Then I'm just going to start playing, which will start the recording. And once I'm done, I'll hit the play button to stop the recording. I'm going to play some octaves in my left hand and some just simple chords in my right. And then we'll see what we get. So if I press score/lyrics, that'll bring up the sheet music screen, and I'm going to scroll to the left. So right off the bat, this looks pretty weird. I've got two bass clefs, and all of the notes appear to be in the top bass clef. You can see my left-hand octaves, or those two notes at the bottom, and then the chords above it. So on the off beats, you can see my left hand is there, and then on the beats where I'm playing both hands at the same time, you can see they're all joined together. Let's take a quick listen. That to the start. So why two bass clefs? Let's do this again, and I'm going to play higher up on the keyboard. Let's see what that gave us. Okay, so I got a treble clef now, but everything is still on the one clef. So you can see my left hand is down there and a whole bunch of extra ledger lines, which is kind of strange. So I'm going to do this one more time, and I'm going to try to move my left hand down low, and then I'll leave my right hand up a little bit higher. Let's see what we get this time. So it looks like the same thing. Everything's still in that treble clef, and it's just adding more and more ledger lines, looking kind of goofy in between the treble and the bass clef. So what's the workaround that helps this issue? Basically what you do is you split the keyboard into left and right voices. You can choose the same voice for both the left and the right. And the left hand will appear mostly in the bass clef, and the right hand will mostly appear in the treble clef. And we can actually do something else to help that out a little bit too. So I'm going to go out to the main menu here. You can see I've got my CFX Grand as my main voice. I'm going to press left. Right now it's set to the DX electric piano. I'm going to switch that to also be the CFX Grand. So both the left and the right hand are the same. And now I'll try recording this again and see what happens. And I'm going to move all my both my hands back to where I was originally wanting to play all of this. So rewind to the start, hit record, and let's see what we get this time. Okay, this is starting to look a little bit more promising. You can see I've got my chord in the treble clef, and I've got my octave in the bass clef. So that's looking pretty normal. But if I scroll to the next measure here, still something a little bit off, and that is, you can see my F octave in my left hand there. When I go to play the G, the top note in the G is actually still sliding up into the treble clef. So it's almost perfect, but the reason that this is happening is because of the split point. The way that the DGX is determining what goes in the bass clef versus what goes in the treble clef is based on what your current split point is. So to see what that is, I press Menu, and I choose split point chord fingering, hit Enter, and you can see that the left-hand split point is set to F#2, which is right here. So since I'm playing that G, that's just one note above that, that's getting pushed up into the treble clef. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the split point up to B2 instead. Now let's rewind to the start and record this again. So measure 1 looks fine. Let's go to measure 2 and see if that fixed that G or not. And it did. You can see that G is now in the bass clef where it should be. So far so good. This has improved quite a bit. So I can only just barely read sheet music. I learned how to play piano and play to this day just from chord charts. But if you read sheet music, you're probably noticing something here that's still a bit off. And that is that higher G that we got moved down to the bass clef by changing the split point. If you look at all those ledger lines, you're going to know that that G note is actually the identical G that's up here in my right hand. So what's going on here? Well, this is where I noticed something about the DGX that I've never noticed before, and that is that when you go into split mode, by default, the left side is shifted up 1 octave. And that explains why that G is actually the same as that G. So to check that, I go into Menu, and I go into Voice Setting, hit Enter. You can see left hand is shifted up 1 octave. So I'm going to go down to the octave setting, and left hand I'm going to switch to be 0. Actually, before I do that, just to demonstrate, if you listen to these notes, so you can see that this G and that G are the same. So let's fix that. I'm going to move that back down to 0. Okay, so there we go. Now it's just as if, now everything's going to sound just as if we only had one voice selected, just the CFX Grand across the whole range of the piano, even though we've actually got the left enabled. So I'm going to rewind here. And I'm going to record this one more time, the way that I intended to play it in the first place. Let's see what we get. Rewind that, and right away you can see that not only do we have the treble clef and the bass clef, and all of the notes are down in the bass clef where they should be, but you also notice that the bass clef notes have shifted down an octave. So these are the actual notes that I was playing, and if I was playing this with just the main and not the left enabled, those are the notes that I'm actually playing, so those are the notes that are now coming up on the sheet music, so this is perfect. Let's go to the second bar here. And the G is right where it should be, and now that G is no longer the same as that G. So this workaround definitely helps with the sheet music display. Is it perfect? Well, no. Basically, since it's based on where the split point is on the keyboard, if your left hand goes past the split point to the right, that note is going to land in the treble clef whether you want it to or not the bass clef. And likewise, if your right hand goes below the split point to the left, then those notes are going to land in the bass clef. So basically what you need to do is put a little bit of thought into where you want to set your split point based on the piece of music that you're playing to try and get it as accurate as possible. So it's not a perfect solution, but the score I have on the display now is far better and easier to read, well, for those of you that can read sheet music, than what I had on the display at the start of this video with everything in one of the clefs. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you like the content, please feel free to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel. That does really help me out. I've left a link in the description to my full DGX-670 playlist if you want to check out any of the other videos on this awesome keyboard. And as always, I will leave some links to some online piano training that worked really well for me that I can highly recommend. So thanks again for stopping by, and happy piano playing. Have an awesome day.